Qualifying underway in Budapest. Welcome to the first of 3 qualifying periods here in the Hungaroring. For the first time all weekend, the track is dry after very wet morning free practice sessions. Hello everybody, I'm Martin Haven, alongside me Matt Neal, high above the noisy grandstands at the Hungaroring, and down in pit lane Ben Constanduris and Alex Legui, and just about everybody out on track immediately. Only Tom Chilton and Hugo Valence, 2 Chevrolets remain. Matt Neal, we see this occasionally. People will wait for a couple of laps to go by and then join in, hoping that everybody will have one quick run and peel into the pits, and they'll inherit a relatively empty track.
That's right. It's one of the hardest circuits we visit on the calendar to pass, so no one wants to get stuck in traffic, get involved in anyone else's problems. So some of them might just sit there, wait till the others are coming in and have their first run on their first set of tyres, and then look for that little bit of space later on. But the track has been incredibly slippy in the wet conditions. And so a lot of the drivers have been suffering with track limit warnings in the sessions to start with, and those outer edges of the circuit are still going to be greasy, so it's going to be one to watch for all of them.
Well, there's been very low grip on the grey stuff, and even less grip, less than none at all off track during the free practice sessions. But bizarrely, the fastest man in the place, Jose Maria Lopez, was also the man who did not incur any warnings for track limits. He's been able to stick it on the grey and keep the pace in the car somehow. Now, the question is, how much faster can he go in this dry qualifying session?
He certainly looks committed on this this opening salvo.
Yeah. Well, here's the benchmark, a 2.5 seconds clear of everybody in free practice 2, 2.5 seconds clear of the next best Citroen, which was 4th fastest Ivan Muller. The men in between were Gabriele Tarquini and Thiago Monteiro in the new look and new aero package Honda Civic Type R WTCC, and that is a very new look to Gabriele Tarquini's car. He's gone off on the exit of corner 2 and spun it across the barriers, across the track into the barriers. Red flags. So qualifying comes to an immediate halt, and Jose Maria Lopez and everybody else who was on a quick lap have now taken a lap out of their tyres. However, Tarquini has taken a bite out of the nose of his car.
It's the last thing Honda wanted to have. It looks like he got put a wheel on the curb, put a wheel on the curb of exit 3. Turn 3, yeah, so turn 3. And it's just the car swapped ends on him and turned hard right by the looks.
Well, he had a huge shunt at turn 4 in the race a couple of years ago, but that is just starting to build up to speed for the man who might have been shooting for an outside front row grid spot. Red flags remain out here in Hungary. Gabriele Tarquini out of qualifying, and it would seem he will start last on both race grids. Well, let's get down to the pit lane with Alex Legui. She's with Alessandro Mariani at Yas.
Yeah, down here with Alessandro. Alessandro, after such a good practice, this is just not what you needed. Can you talk us through what you think happened?
I touched the curb, and probably the curb was wet, and I lost the car after the curb. Unfortunately, we were pretty confident after the free practice this morning, because both the cars, all the 3 cars were in top 5 constantly, with a very small gap with the Citroen, with Lopez. And it can happen, of course, when you arrive in qualifying with a track that is just dry up. So that unfortunately happened to Gabriele.
I know it's very difficult to be able to tell from here, but can you roughly tell how bad the damage is?
He said there was a harsh crash, but of course from the video it's impossible to understand the real damage of the car. as soon as the car will become here, we will check.
Thank you, Alessandro.
Well, there's a real kick in the teeth for the team. Alessandro trying to put a brave face on it. Hopefully he'll be able to race, but Matt, he will have to start both races if he doesn't set any time from the back of the grid.
I'll tell you what, Martin, he wasn't greedy with that inside curve.
No, he wasn't.
He took no more of that than Lopez did in the Citroen 30 seconds before on the lap.
Yeah.
So, and it's just then he was a passenger there on and trying to hang on to it. I mean, the accident started right at the apex, so.
Yeah. And again, you know, salient warning for everybody else. The grey bit is clean and relatively dry. The rest of it is still like sheet ice, and you have to regard it as such. Painted curbs, any motorcyclist will tell you, paint and water are not good things to put rubber on. And unfortunately, Gabrielli got spat off at the apex, and it was just then looking for somewhere for the accident to finish rather than for somewhere for it to start. So hopefully the damage is not significant. Not quite sure what the rule is about whether they take it to Parc Fermé or whether it'll be taken back to the team. I'm assuming it'll be just dragged out of harm's way and then taken back to the team after qualifying, in which case Gabrielli's weekend, frankly, is going to be one of his worst. Well, Ben Constantiouris is down in the pits with local hero Norbert Mikelish.
Always wonderful to be here in Budapest, especially when the sun is shining. Norby, how is it in the car? You've had no dry running at all, and that was your first taste.
Yeah, it's quite difficult because as you look under the circuit, you think yourself it's completely dry. But at the corner, turn 3, especially where Gabriele had his accident, it was quite slippery. So it's going to be a difficult qualifying session. I think in Q1, everything is going to be about being at the last man on the circuit with new tires.
And just what a difference does this crowd make? You must be able to hear them as you go past them.
It's incredible. We had very bad weather this morning and still only Saturday. But if you take a look at the amount of people, I have big hopes for tomorrow.
And how about the car? Because the guys have worked quite hard to change the car to this new spec 2015 Type R. Could you feel it inside the car?
Running in the wet, you couldn't feel the difference, but now I'm curious to see if there will be a difference in qualifying, so hopefully we can gain some time.
Have a good session.
Thanks a lot.
He always does have a good time here, win, lose or draw, and he has won before on the track. He's always been the centre of attention, and not uncommon for him to be the centre of high drama as well. Norbert Mikelish, the man responsible for bringing so many fans here to this Hungaroring track. Well, the red flags remain out as they recover Gabriele Tarquini's Honda Civic and bring it out of harm's way. It's on the flatbed, but it'll be another couple of minutes before we're ready to go green again here in Hungary. Remaining here on the clock. Session has gone green again here in Hungary for Q1. What was a 30-minute session now effectively cut in half by the stoppage after Gabriele Tarquini's accident. Tarquini's car, incidentally, has not come back to the Honda garage. Qinghua Ma slips by Ivan Muller on this outlap. All the cars now out of pit road.
Well, showing a fair lack of respect there for his senior teammate, but
yeah.
I think he wants to probably try and jump on the back of Lopez when Muller's trying to find space for his opening lap.
Yeah, and hanging on to Lopez has got to be a good way for Ma to try and figure out the line here, although he's closing on Lopez on this formation lap or on this out lap. He's going to be in a really rubbish place to try and put together a qualifier unless he intends to sit right on his boot lid and slipstream him all the way down the straight.
Yeah, but Martin, these TC1 cars are incredibly reliant on the downforce and aero now, so if he follows him too close through the technical section, that's going to cost him time. That's almost naive, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's well in towing grounds as they come across the line to start this lap. What will really, really unimpress Lopez is if Ma suddenly appears down the inside into the braking area. He's not close enough to do so. As you say, Matt, he is close enough for the front end to wash out and lose grip under braking and through corner 1 and down into corner 2.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to use him as a reference, but poor old Gabriele
Well, as long as he doesn't use him for breaks. Yeah, Gabrielli's race weekend, I'm afraid, as I rather suspected and feared, the car is back in parc fermé, which means the team can't touch it until after qualifying.
Yeah, Mar's already lost a wee bit of time through the first 3 corners, so Lopez is as committed as ever.
Yeah. Lopez first sector 39.04, Muller 39.14, Mar 40.37. And talking about confidence and luck, you know, Gabrielli's luck ran out very early in this session. Loeb's ran out at the beginning of FP1. He hit the barriers at the beginning of his first flying lap down at corner 1, wrecked the car and missed the entire session. Lopez, though, Matt, is riding on air at the moment. He seems to be able to do nothing wrong.
Yeah,
kept wheels on the white line.
Yeah, but those tyres are still going to be damp.
Yeah, but the lap will count.
Yeah, but it's going to be lack of grip. I just worried into there. But as you mentioned earlier, this circuit isn't used that much. So, especially after heavy rain as well, the track will be green. So it's only going to get quicker as the session goes on.
Muller is on a faster lap. Lopez was 1/10 quicker than Muller in sector 1. Muller's gone 2/10 quicker in sector 2. Lopez was merging them in sector 3 in the wet. Comes across the line, he will go fastest with a 150.9, and Muller needs a 31.0, and he gets a 31.0 final sector. He goes fastest, 150.75 to 150.93. Now, to give you an indication of how much conditions have improved, fastest laps this morning were 2-minute 12s. That's 22 seconds faster already, and that's our first sighting lap. Rob Huff, second quickest in the Lada, 150.90, 2/10 faster than Lopez. And Lopez first sector is not better.
Lopez is going to know straight from the box that he's going to be in second place. That's immediate upper hand to Muller, and it looks like Lopez is trying too hard at the moment.
Yeah. Lopez is now going to head straight to the pits to get another set of tyres on. Lopez third, Michelitz fourth, Bernani fifth, Montero sixth, then Coronel, Loeb, Vallant, Thompson, Qinghua Ma and John Philippi. Chilton up to fourth, so Philippi is now out of the 12. Ma in the factory Citroen.
And Huff up to second.
Yep. It was a good lap from Huffy to go faster than Lopez. Chilton goes fourth fastest. And that we talked about the Chevys being disappointing in the rain. Maybe there weren't high enough corner speeds for their refined aero package to really work. Now it seems there are.
Now we've got to remember, Martin, this is only to get through to Q2. So if Muller and Lopez think they've done enough, which is dangerous,
not in changeable conditions, you can't. Now, who really can't is this man, Ma. The Chinese driver is 12th at the moment. He needs just one car to improve in the remaining 10 minutes, and he misses Q2, and that can't be allowed to happen again. Lopez, Ma, Muller, Chilton, I think that was, coming in behind down pit road.
Citroen's all filing in one by one.
Or was it Bernani? Loeb stays out. He's only 8th quickest, a faster lap, but it wasn't an improvement. Half seconds. Chilton's not in the pit lanes. I'm not sure who that was coming. Maybe that was it was Daste. That's who it was. Stefano Daste is in. 15th quickest for the Italian, who was flying in the rain in FP1 in his Chevrolet. The only Chevrolet that seemed to have any pace. Coronel is in. The Ladas are in. Vallant, everybody's in. Everybody apart from Loeb, who is using this free track to try and find another faster lap.
You know something, it could be a good tactic of Sebastian Loeb, because, okay, he's going to take one more lap life out of his tyres, but the track's going to be a wee bit more rubbered in, a wee bit drier, and it could be a wee bit faster if he's going later in this session, which will be going right to the death.
Yep. I tell you what,
it could be a good tactic.
You could hear from the trackside camera how hard he straddled that curb, though. Got to be careful about that.
And they're all learning, Martin. They are all learning every lap. They're trying to figure it out. They've been on weird wet lines, trying to look for different grip. Now they're trying to get these apexes rubbered up. and find the limits here.
Of course, Loeb spent free practice 1 just basically kicking himself because the car was wrecked and he had nothing else to do. So I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he spent a lot of time with his engineer working out what everybody else was doing, what they were going to do with their Citroën once it was straight, which it was for free practice 2.
So I wouldn't expect this to be a stellar lap, but it's going to be... Oh, he's staying. No, he's in.
No, he's in. It was no better. Neither of the sectors were better than his previous one, so that was always an in-lap. The advantage for Loeb now, with the weather forecast looking reasonable for tomorrow, is that he lost running in the rain. Nobody has had any running in the dry, so he's not on the back foot here at all in terms of either dry setup or experience of the track in the dry. So that deficit from this morning has effectively been eradicated by the weather changing.
Yeah, everything's reset, so it's back to square one, and he's got a get out of jail free card on that one.
John Philippi, the only man on track.
Front of that
13th.
Chevy does look very high, the front of that Chevy.
I wonder if they haven't quite changed it away from the wet weather settings. Tom Chilton was a little late going out because the team were busy doing last-minute adjustments. Stefano D'Aste has just left the pits, but Philippi is on a flying lap.
Yeah, when you think the minimum ride height at the front of these cars is about, I think it's 60 mil in the TC1 regulations, which is just wide enough to get your foot underneath with a squeeze.
So two and a quarter inches.
Yeah, on Philippi's car. D'Aste's looks all right, but Philippi's car looks I can get a gumboot under that.
Maybe Philippi's wasn't diving into the first corner quite as much as we might expect. D'Aste cruising around, not taking too much out of the tyres, just keeping some warmth in them and the brakes for when you need it.
The rest of them all just sat in the pits at the moment. They're just sitting it out.
Tom Coronel has headed out. Ma has headed out significantly as well. Really in the drop zone. In 12th place, and if he was a Premiership manager, he'd be saying we need 6 points.
Lopez is on his way out. 6 minutes, 50 seconds to go.
Muller's gone out as well. And we expect to see basically the pit lane now empty, as if somebody had pulled the plug.
Not all larders have blinked yet on the second run.
Well, this is bad news for D'Aste, who's just warming up to a flyer, because he's going to come out and there'll be cars blooming everywhere as he starts his flying lap. In front of him, John Philippi, I think, is peeling off into the pits because there's no sign of extra speed in that lap.
Tomo's on his way out in the larder.
Yep. Gregoire de Moustier has gone out as well. And D'Aste comes across the line. Luckily for him, half the field is still in the pit road, as you can see from your timing pylon. However, the other half are out there bimbling around.
Yeah, this track is incredibly hard on tyre wear, so I would imagine you've got one lap and one lap only. Second lap is really if you mess up the first lap, but it's really you've got to go for it on your prime lap.
It's what's it or bust here.
Coronel just starting his flying lap. Again, he looks pretty okay for traffic at the minute.
Nice long late apex through 2. Significant direction change downhill into corner 3 that caught out Tarquini. He stayed well away from the curb, Stefano D'Aste. He wants only one Italian to have made that mistake, not 2. Over the brow, through 4, kept 2 wheels on the track. And then into this long corner 5. Down to the chicane, right into 6, left out of 7. Hits the big sausage on the inside, not too much on the exit because you need to keep the car stable to carry pace through the fast turn 8 and into turn 9. And exit here, Matt, is so important because the next portion of the lap you're just building speed all the way.
Quinquamar and Muller both started their flying laps and they could get caught by a pile of traffic just pulled out because Michelitz and Kozlowski have just pulled out in front of them.
D'Aste on a personal best lap, 39.3 first sector, 41.1 second sector. That's good. Now this will put him inside maybe the top 10. He needs to be nice and clean here. Off 13, only corner 14 remains. Pushing it as hard as he dares, Matt, but desperate not to outbrake himself or to get on the gas too early and run all the way off. He just about held it together. 4 minutes and 20 seconds remain. And 9th place for D'Aste, and Ma is out of qualifying. But Ma is on track. D'Aste with 9th. That's probably enough to go through into Q2. Coronel is 10th. And he comes across the line with a 6th place lap.
It's a good time off Coronel and Daste, but I think we're going to see the times tumble as we get into the last 3 minutes of this session.
Best first sector of all, incidentally, from Ivan Muller, who is currently our interim fastest man. Ma on a best lap for himself.
Best second sector for Muller now as well.
40.6 is half a second off Muller's pace in the second sector, and he was 6/10 off Muller's pace, so he's 1.1 behind Muller in 2/3 of the lap, which will leave him 1.6 behind Muller, 1.5, 1.4, might not be enough. Where does he end up? Second fastest, 7 thousandths behind from being 6/10 back. Oh yes, now Muller completes the lap 1.49 seconds faster than Ma.
Let's see where Lopez is not far behind them.
Wow.
Here we go.
Muller has found some speed. Lopez second, 7/10 behind. But this is not final qualifying. This is just to go through to Q2.
Yeah, the pendulum has definitely swung in Muller's favour. Now the track's we got some dry running on.
Yeah, but is Lopez only doing what he needs to? He doesn't need to be 7/10 quicker.
You could have said that all through practice in the wet, Martin.
Yeah.
I think it's great that Muller's got his trailer.
Absolutely, I do too. So we got Muller, Lopez, Ma, Huff 4th quickest and on an out lap. Jimmy Thompson on an out lap, who is 13th. He got bumped as Ma improved. Green all the way for Jimmy T. This is a fast lap. 39.2 first sector. 41.3 second sector. This could put him into the top 10. Banani's on a quick one as well in front of him. Banani could be in the top 3 or 4. Banani's 4th. Where is Thompson going to finish? This could be enough for 6th or 7th. As he comes across the line. No, last sector drifted away. Did it? 31.5.
I don't know what happened there, but he must have lost it in the last sector.
Gabriele Tarquini, like the rest of us, watching on. Huff 5th, Chilton 6th, Banani, and Ma goes 4th. So factory Chevys, that's a pound. Factory Citroens, Muller, Lopez, Loeb, Ma, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th is 5th place for Mehdi Banani. What about Norby? What's he got going? Green, and goes into 5th place ahead of Banani. So that is your Yokohama Independent Championship lead battle. Banani leads by 1 from Norby. But if Norby ends up qualifying in the top 5, he will get a point. And if Banani doesn't, he won't. Hugo Vallant, currently 12th. And he comes across the line. Does he go quicker?
He does.
He does indeed. He goes 3rd fastest. That's a good lap. Thompson out, Demoustier out, Filippi, Kozlowski and Tarquini out.
Thompson's not out yet because he's still got to be able to finish this lap.
Yep. It is a slow lap. 44.8 first sector is 5 seconds off the pace. Jimmy T's on the way back to the pits. He is not going to make it into Q2. Montero goes 4th. On board with Huffy. Huff has got definite top 2 rows of the grid potential.
He too.
And he goes 2nd fastest. Faster than Lopez, 6/10 behind Muller. Well, the Lada was very competitive in the rain compared to everybody bar Lopez. And it's very competitive in the dry compared to everybody bar Lopez. In fact, not bar Lopez, this time bar Muller. Checkered flag out, and John Filippi takes it and goes to 13th and doesn't quite jump Stefano Daste, who's parked. So is Coronel, so is Banani, so is Loeb, so is Muller. And everybody else just about will be on their way back in.
Montero puts the Castrol Honda up to 4th.
Green first sector from Tom Chilton, who is currently 8th. Vallant green first sector as well. Green means a personal best. So those 2 Chevys might improve. Don't need to. Chilton has backed off, he's been told, I'm sure. No need. there's not 6 cars that are going to go quicker than you.
So as we sit in Q1, that's 3 different car manufacturers, car makes in the top 5.
So look at your pylon. From 1st down to 12th, they progress. Filippi, Thompson, de Moussier, Kozlowski and Tarquini do not. And they will start 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th and 17th in both races. 25 seconds till Q2 gets underway, but it will be without Gabriele Tarquini. Ben Constanduras is down at the Castrol Honda team with perhaps the most disappointed man in the pit lane today.
Such a frustration when you have a man like Gabriele Tarquini sitting on the pit wall. Gabriele, what happened on circuit?
Yeah, it was my mistake. I mean, track was not completely dry. The line was completely dry, but not the curbs. I jumped over the curbs a little bit. I was too wide. And as soon as I touch with the rear wheel, the outside of the curbs, I spun.
Must be particularly frustrating for the first time this year. It looks like the Honda can actually make a battle with Citroën.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mistake. I cannot cancel, unfortunately. We will see what's happened with the rest of the team.
Budapest doesn't seem to be a lucky place for you.
No, it's not a lucky place. I mean, the first practice and the second practice was very good on the wet. And the car seems very competitive also. Thiago and Norby are not far away from Citroën, but unfortunately I'll not be there. So it's a shame, but it's racing.
It'll be a busy day tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so.
He's absolutely right. That is the other side of the coin to motor racing. You can't always win. In fact, I read a little quote the other week from somebody in Formula 1 saying motor racing is basically endless purgatory, very occasionally interspersed by a little bit of delight when you win something, and there's a lot more waiting and anticipating than there is actually celebrating. Jose Maria Lopez leads the field out into this second period of qualifying, just 10 minutes for the fast 12 from Q1 to whittle themselves down into a top 5. This also sets most of the grid for race 1 and race 2, because the top 10 in this session, reversed, will be the top 10 in the race 2 grid. 11th and 12th fastest in this session will be 11th and 12th fastest in both races, and the top 5 will go into a shootout to decide who is in which of the top 5 positions on our race 1 grid, and that's Q3.
That's where Muller needs to start eating into the points of Lopez, so
yeah,
it's going to be great to, if they can both get into Q3, then we can start seeing a bit of a shootout.
Well, we heard it from Muller last year in Paul Ricard. After Loeb won again, it was said to Ivan, you always say the season is long. He said, yes, but it's not getting any longer. And we heard it last weekend, 2 race weekends in from Sebastian Loeb. He said, I managed to limit the damage to Jose Maria, but eventually I have to start taking points away from him or he's going to win again. And that is the situation that not just the Citroën team, but everybody else find themselves in, is that Lopez so far has led half the laps of the season and got a comfortable championship lead. So he's going to take some catching, this boy.
He's definitely on the crest of the wave at the moment. And see how much he's taking a lot of curve in that Citroën. He just does seem to ride it.
Yeah, and you heard again, as we did with Loeb, that he's grounding out over that curb on turn 4 as he straddles it. And Matt, with this extra aggressive aero that these new cars have brought in, maybe they are riding much further because they need to try and keep the aero platform as stable as possible. They're sort of moving more towards the final end of the Super Touring era than S2000, where they've come from.
You're absolutely on the nose there, Martin. They want to keep the plane of the car as plays out on the damp stuff again. They want to keep the plane of the car as flat as possible. If it gets into yaw, it starts to bleed air out from underneath where they generate a lot of downforce. So it's keeping that aero as as constant as possible.
Look at Rob Huff, 6,000s quicker than anybody in sector 1. Lopez quicker in sector 2, but Muller, in fact, he's not on your screen. Muller's gone quickest of all in sector 2. Huff is 4/10 slower than Muller in sector 2, but was 2/10 quicker than Muller in sector 1. In fact, 0.26 quicker. Lopez goes fastest, 1:49.7. We'll wait for Muller to come across the line. 1:49.45. Muller goes fastest. Loeb goes third. Ma goes third ahead of Loeb, then Bernani. And where is Huff? Has he got what it takes to get in the top 5?
There comes Huffy.
Waiting for Huff across the line. He's going to be one of the last there. On board with Rob Huff, down into the final corner. And that's, in fact, he's down into the first corner, 1:49.8. He's gone 5th fastest. That is enough to put him at the moment into Q3. Ahead of Chilton, Mikulic, Bernani, Daste, and Vallant and Coronel again late in leaving the pit lane. They have now both headed out on track. But in fact, it was Chilton who was out a little bit behind in the previous session. So Huffy flashing the lights, he's on another flyer, and that's the end of that. Throttles it right back, Matt, 4 wheels off track. Even if the lap is quicker, it will not count.
Yeah, one, he will have been losing a bit of downforce from the air off the back of Michelitz's Honda, but 2, it had just been distracting to him. He knows he's closing on him, as he was a good half a second up on Michelitz and closing on him, and it was just, it's annoying for Huffy, that is, but that's what you get all going out together.
Noticeably took much less curb in 4 than the Citroens did and got bounced off it. Now, they were straddling it. You could hear it hit the underfloor. He was on the curb with the inside wheels rather than straddling it, so maybe that's why he got bounced more across the track.
Maybe.
We've seen qualifying times lost for 4 wheels inside there, but not for 2. 4 minutes to go. Muller is back into the pit lane. He's fastest of all, and I think he's going to park that, because the guys outside the top 5 need to find 6/10, and the nearest is Loeb, and he's in the pits as well.
Yeah, the one we've got who's going to be in panic mode is Loeb now. He's not going to want to be on the 3rd row of the grid, while both his teammates are up there fighting for the front one.
Now, here could be the fly in Huffy's ointment. Tom Coronel or Ugo Valente. Valente was on in the top 5. He was 4th fastest, in fact, in Q2 in Marrakesh. Tom Chilton was 5th quickest. Valente and Coronel with a clean track. Lopez is going again, or getting ready to go again. Are they getting ready for Q3, or are they going to have to go out and fight again? Coronel's not got the pace. Yes, he has. He's quicker than Valente. It didn't look like it around corner 5, but he was in sector 1 and really aviating there up onto 2 wheels as he thumped the curb on the inside at the beginning of the chicane, corner 6. And the reason the rear wheel doesn't turn when it's in the air, Matt, is that they turned in on the brakes, and as the wheel picks up, the brake is still on, and it doesn't start turning again because it's not driven until the car touches down.
Yeah, they'll be trailing the brakes right into the apex, just to make sure the diff's working properly, but Chilton's put his Chevy up there in 7th place at the moment, so these guys have got a good target to go for with Tom.
Well, what they need to do is get ahead of Montero and Huff. We've got Muller, Lopez and Ma in Citroens, Montero's Honda and Huff's Lada in the top 5 at the moment. They're all going again, and they need to, because Huff is 0.37 behind, and Vallant is going to be in the... Oh, look at that! Fantastic time from Ugo Vallant, 59 thousandths behind Muller, who has had to go back out. So has Lopez, so has Ma, so has Montero. Game on, 2 minutes and counting.
Huffy's still in the box. If he doesn't get out,
he won't get another lap. It's a 150 lap, and there's only 150 to go. So either, no, his time is already only good enough for 6th position.
It's too late.
However, reverse grid, if he ends up getting shuffled down to 10th place and not 11th or 12th. Okay, where is he? Huff is a 1:49.8. And I don't know what's going on with Stefano Daste. Daste's parked it. So Daste is 12th.
He's used all his tyres, Martin.
At the moment, Bernani is 11th. And over 6/10 slower than Huff.
So another big casualty is the Citroen of Banani out at 11th.
Not yet. He's on a flyer. And the checkered flag is not yet out.
But it's slow, Martin.
Yeah, 40.0 is not enough. Not to get into the top 5. He stayed out. He didn't have any new tyres to fit. And this is a legacy now. This is all counting back from having used up a set of tyres, or part used up a set of tyres, before Tarquini's crash, or as Tarquini crashed. So the knock-on effect is being felt all the way down the pit lane, that little tremor, not just for Tarquini. Huff is parked, Daste is parked. They are 6th Huff and 12th Daste. Daste will start 12th in both races. Huff will have to hope that he ends up in 10th or 9th, because then he's on the front row for race 2 at the Hungaroring. And Banani is cruising into the pit lane. So Banani is not going to improve. Banani will start 11th. And that then means that everybody on track is going to be in the top 10. So anybody who improves is going to push Huff further up the race 2 grid. Here's Sebastian Loeb.
Loeb's definitely on the attack.
Chilton has taken the flag and is only 9th. Maybe that's what they were looking for, because the Citroens are all trying to get into Q3 because there are points and they're all chasing Lopez.
Oh, Lopez has just set a monstrous first sector.
Oh, game over. 2/10 quicker than Muller and 1/10 and a half quicker than Loeb. Goodness me. Loeb ahead of him on the road, though.
This is going to be good enough to get Loeb into the top 5.
Chilton's on his way back in. Mikulic has nothing to offer. Montero has nothing to offer. Hugo Vallant, second quickest, has nothing to offer on this lap. It's all about what the Citroens do. And Montero goes green in sector 2 as Mar goes fastest of all in sector 2.
Lopez.
Oh my goodness. Muller is fastest at the moment. Lopez will be first at the line. Loeb rather first at the line. He goes on to pole. But Lopez was quicker. So was Muller. So was Mar in at least one sector of the lap. Muller goes quickest. Norby was right. It's last man across the line. Lopez goes quickest. What about Mar? What about Montero? Mar only 5th, but he's in Q2.
And we've still got Valente.
Montero is done, and Hugo Valente needs to complete a lap that is nowhere near fast enough. He is 13 seconds back in sector 2, so he's coming into the pit. So your top 5 is sealed. Lopez, Muller, Loeb, Vallant and Mar. Montero 6th, Huff 7th, Coronel 8th, Chilton 9th, Mikulic 10th. So Coronel, Chilton and Mikulic were playing the race 2 front row game, and Norby will start the final encounter here in Hungary on pole. And that's not a situation that we're unfamiliar with. What also we're not unfamiliar with is accident damage in race 1 and hurried fixing during the repair time. And then Norby going on to win from pole. We've been there, we've done that, we've all got the multicoloured t-shirts. It could happen again. Norman Mikulic, your race 2 pole man, and some of the Norby army. What has happened to Qinghua Ma? Fast turnaround. He came to a halt at pit lane exit. We were told that there was 20 seconds in which he had to leave the pits. Now, was that on screen information erroneous, or has something happened to Ma? Did he get to pit exit, stop and stall the car?
I think they said the red light.
Is there a red light by mistake?
No, the red light's gone out now. I think they're saying he didn't get there in time. Yeah, so Valente's going down now.
So Ma will start 5th and 6th in race 2.
That's a bit rough on the
Tough
poor
luck.
guy.
Tough luck. Should have been faster coming in on his on his coming in lap. They knew he was in the top 5 as soon as he took the checkered flag. They knew he was 5th. They knew he was going to be first out. They know how it works. They're not new. He had to get in fast. Doesn't matter what he did to the tyres because you get a free set for Q3. He had to get in fast and he didn't. There were no yellow flags. There was nothing to hold him up. He didn't make it. He left the team with an impossible task to try and change all 4 tyres and get him out of the pit lane in 1 minute and 12 seconds, which is what he left them when he arrived.
You can take that FIA pin badge out your coat.
No, I know. It is it's a basic mistake, and he clearly didn't realise the turnaround was going to be that quick. But for nobody on the pit wall to realise, that's a mistake. Well, let's get down and hear from the Citroën team and Yves Martin.
Yves, what happened with Mar there? Stopped at the end of the pit lane with a red light.
Yes, because he didn't have enough time to change the tires and enter in his qualifying 3 due to the fact that he was pushing the last lap in qualifying 2. It's a problem we say since a long time that it can happen.
So he was too slow on the slowing down lap?
No, he was pushing a maximum to come in, and just the time to change the tires. It is too short.
So is that a problem with the regulations then?
Yes. Thank you.
A problem that nobody else has run into so far, either this year or last.
Yeah, maybe it's a problem with Citroën's planning.
Yeah, well, if he was pushing to the maximum, then he would have been setting much faster sector times when he came in. He didn't come in fast enough. Wasn't a problem in Marrakesh, and that's on a street circuit. Tom Chilton was in plenty of time. As it is, for the 2nd time in a row, Hugo Vallant is the first man to actually go for a time in Q3. Now, in Marrakesh, he got to turn 4 before it stuck it in the tyres. Let's hope for slightly better luck this time. As he comes across the line, there is now a 30-second window of opportunity for Sebastian Loeb to head out of the pit lane behind him and begin his warm-up lap. And that's the way that it will work for the remaining 2 cars as well, Ivan Moller and last of all, Jose Maria Lopez. But for Vallant, again, for this young Frenchman to be in the top 5 in a privately entered and privately run Campos Racing Chevrolet for the 2nd race weekend in a row, that's a fantastic performance.
Yeah, they get their free set of tyres, which they haven't got to carry over into the, you can hear it bottoming out over the curve there. Yeah. They haven't got to carry into the races, so they can really use and abuse them. And the young Frenchman, he's really wringing the neck of his Chevy there.
Well, not only, I mean, last time Chilton got in as well, but he is the fastest Chevy driver in qualifying, and this is a guy, you know, who's only in his 2nd full season in the championship. I just think he's doing such a great job in qualifying.
It's a very good first sector off him as well, Martin.
Yep.
We could have him punching his on the way onto the front row.
Well, he'll be in front of one Citroën at least. In fact, he'll be in front of, oh no, yeah, definitely one. He's definitely in front of Mark.
He's definitely trying hard.
And again, we saw in Marrakesh, Loeb,
2nd sector's very good. He's just got to hold it together.
We saw in Marrakesh, Loeb looked like he was going to be under pressure from this kid.
He's been seriously on the limit here, so he's just got to, through 13 and 14.
And bear in mind, of course, it was wet this morning, very, very wet. So this is the only dry running they've had.
This is a good lap.
Just in qualifying. It's a really nice looking lap. Are we in the 12s?
49 dead, that is a very good lap.
That's a really good lap.
That could be pole.
Ooh, I think we'd be really hard pushed to see him in front of Muller and Lopez. Then obviously there'll be something else wrong with the regulations when we go back to Yves Martin.
That could be that. I'll tell you what, that's fired a shot across the Citroën's bow.
Yeah.
He was absolutely on the limit everywhere. That was a proper lap we just saw there.
Well, Sebastian Loeb finishing off his warming up lap. Ivan Muller, when Loeb goes across the line, will be next out. This is quite nice for a driver, Matt. I mean, it's something that British touring cars don't have.
Loeb's got a lot too wide.
And that's going to cost him momentum across the line at the start of the lap. You want the final corner to be perfect.
Schoolboy error.
Oh, I knew I should have written down Vallant's sector times. Anyway, it'll either go green if he's quicker or it won't if he's not. I was going to say, in British touring cars, you don't get this single lap shootout. But this is the ultimate that a racing driver does with his car. No holds barred, just about maximum speed.
Well, it's all about no holds barred, just hanging on. You've just got nothing to lose. See where we are when we get to the sector break for Loeb. 38.8.
Slower. Oh no, faster.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's slow by near 10, 38.79.
But Volante was incredible through sector 2 with a 40 dead.
Well, Loeb under pressure, only 800ths away.
He's trying. It looks a scruffy lap, though.
Yep.
To be that close.
He's trying very hard, but you're right. I mean, actually, Valon's car looked more composed.
He's having to wrestle that Citroen a fair bit. And, oh, I thought he was out over the grass there.
Keeps 2 wheels on.
40 dead. It's going to be close.
Yep. 400ths of a second slower. Hugo Valont might be moving up the order again. If Loeb doesn't beat him, then Valont will start no worse than 3rd on the grid. Final sector, it's all about the final sector. Kept it neater this time than on the start of the lap, and that mistake before the flying lap might have cost him. He does go second, 14.5 a second slower. Wow. So Loeb will start no worse than 4th, Valont no worse than 3rd.
He hung on in the first 2 sectors and then he just blew it in the last 2, which is actually quite ominous for the Citroen. They've got to try and make it up in the first 2. If they've got a weakness to the Chevy there, then they'll be relaying that information to both Muller and Lopez.
Well, let's see if Ivan gets the final corner right. He does, much more so than Sebastian Loeb. And he will start the line, come across the line to start the lap with the momentum that he desires. 38.79 is the first sector time that he needs to beat. And of course, no matter who comes out on top in this lap, there is still Jose Maria Lopez. So far this season, 2 race weekends. Lopez has 2 poles. Everybody else on the planet has 0. And Muller at the end of sector 1 is a quarter of a second up.
Wow.
That is a big effort from Muller, and it's not about Valont. It's only about Lopez. Ivan is already this season, I'm sure, absolutely tunnel vision, focused on just one thing: beat Lopez. If you do that, you're going to be champion.
Well, the Citroen's been strong in the first 2 sectors, but it's how they cope with the last sector.
Poleman last year, but has been beaten by Lopez 2 times out of 2 so far. 39.9, that's 6/10 quicker than Hugo Valont.
No, 600's quicker.
600's quicker rather than Hugo Valont. I can't count.
It's how they cope with 13 and 14. We're just coming up to the final corner now. It's got to be nice, tidy, get the power on, squeeze the power on, not too much wheel spin, not run out over that outside damp curve too much. Perfect for Ivan.
Looking for a 30-second final sector. He comes across the line fastest with a 30.39 final sector. Wow. That's 3/10 faster than Sebastian Loeb on the final sector alone. That's his experience of this track paying off. However, right now, he doesn't care about his lap time. He only cares about the man you're looking at now. Let's catch up with Hugo Valont. He's with Alex Ligui.
Well, Hugo, has your luck started to turn? Worst case scenario, you are 3rd.
I'm not. I got 5 good penalty for not respecting the yellow flag this morning. So it's good for qualifying 3. I'm happy to be here again. it's my second qualifying this year, second time in Q3, so it means a lot to me. But it's a shame again that, like in Marrakesh, where I got 10 grid penalty, I'm gonna get another 5 grid penalty for tomorrow. So I don't really know what to say. I think the only time I score points is during Q3. So we'll see tomorrow. The race is gonna be a long race because it's difficult here to overtake. But I'm happy with the pace. Hermel, Campos have done a great job for this setup. So yeah, we'll see tomorrow.
Thank you, Hugo.
Big mistake from Jose Maria Lopez. And Matt, that has got to cost him surely.
He's definitely on the limit. He knows he's got to try and catch Muller here, but it looks like it could have blown it in that sector 1.
4/10 back. There is no pole coming out of this. Surely he's pulled all the rabbits he can out of the hat in that car today. He can't come back from 4/10 back, not on a 4-time world champion. This is Muller's pole. The question is, where will Lopez end up?
Lopez is just going to try and keep as composed as he can, reel the sectors off, reel the corners off one by one.
But he's learning every lap, isn't it? There's Muller on the right. Will he split Muller and Vallant? As Hugo said, he's got a penalty for not respecting the yellow flags. Well, you know, that's a rookie error. Yellow flags are there for a reason. Can't really complain about that. If there are yellows out and your team doesn't tell you, that's not your fault. Lopez throwing everything at this lap. Second sector was the best we've seen by 2/10 quicker than Ivan Muller, but in the end he's third fastest. He will start on the front row after Vallant's penalty, but 2 mistakes in that lap, and that's unusual. We rarely see 1 mistake from Jose Maria Lopez, but he's only doing that because I said he's capable of no wrong earlier on. So it is Ivan Muller who will start race 1 on pole with the points leader sitting alongside him. Ivan Muller will start the first race in Hungary from pole position. Jose Maria Lopez will be alongside him after failing to claim his 3rd consecutive pole of the season. You can see all the action live from the Hungaroring on Sunday.